Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session of Ask the Expert. Today, talking about AutoClusters and a few other things that we just released and I don't want you to miss. My name is Daniel Horowitz, and I'm the genealogy expert at MyHeritage. I'm dedicated to genealogy since 1986. That's a long way. It all happened back in Venezuela, where I was born. I was the teacher and study guide of a family history project called Searching for My Roots. And now I'm also volunteering my time for the Israel Genealogy Research Association. We're doing some transcription and some indexing projects, and I am very happy to be able to keep helping other people as well. Okay, and as always in these sessions of Ask the Experts, this is a hands-on, so we will go to the website, but not really. Because today we're talking about DNA, and MyHeritage takes privacy very seriously. So unfortunately, I cannot risk to show you real DNA samples, but I have privatized all the names of the individuals, making sure that nothing is released. So today, the subject is the AutoCluster, and this is a tool that MyHeritage has available already for quite a long time. And what exactly are AutoClusters? Well, it's no other thing than a way to organize your DNA matches, a way to organize it in groups that will hopefully be useful to you to understand how you are related to other people. Now, let's go one step back so you can understand completely the concept. You remember that when you have matches on your DNA, when you review one of those matches with one person, in this case, I'm showing you my match with Andrea, supposedly, allegedly Andrea, you can see also in one of the sections that I have shared DNA matches. This means that both Andrea and I share DNA with this list of people that you are seeing here. And the first person, you can see that it's my mother. The second one, it's my alter ego. And then I have other people that I recognize from my family tree. So the AutoCluster is actually based on this shared DNA matches, and it organizes it a little bit better for you to understand. But wait, 1 second, because here starts the very good news. Now, today, if you go to your DNA matches, you will see that MyHeritage just add and release a way for you to see from here the person in the family tree and also any comments that you have placed in that DNA match. Okay, so those icons below each of those matches, I will be able to click and see what comments, what notes I did, or I can see this person in the family tree. And this is something users have asked MyHeritage for a long time. And as you see, you ask and we provide you. But let's keep focusing on our subject today. So as you know, this is my mom. You already know and see here. So I can compare this set of matches with other set of matches. In this case, I'm matching another person on the left and another person on the right, and which each of them, I have group of matches. Now, you may not read the names because I have privatized them, but you can see that actually for the faces or the images you have over there, I could say that these two belong together, right? You have here my mom, and you can have here, this is actually my grandmother and my cousin. And if I choose another match, okay, I don't have my mother here, but I do see that I have a couple of other people that matches this group right here. So I can move that to that group. And if I keep going and doing that, and by the way, this was not easy because I had to open different tabs and just see the common matches with all of them, I could actually group those that have the same common matches. Is kind of the same group of people together with the match, the unique match of the unique person that I'm matching here. So this is exactly what the AutoClusters are all about. These groups, and I can, of course, identify them if I know who are the people in here. I can tell you that this is a group from my maternal side, and the other one is a group from my paternal side. And I know that all of us have the same, in the group, have the same ancestors in common. So you see how this can help you. So AutoClusters does this automatically for you. Where can you find the AutoClusters? Right under the DNA tool menu. I'm sorry, the DNA menu, you will have an option, DNA tools. Over there, you will see our 3 main tools that we have. And today we are focusing on the AutoCluster. Now, the AutoCluster also, it's a tool that generates a report. The AutoCluster is kind of a report, and that report is actually sent to you by email. This is how I received it a couple of days ago when I recreate my AutoCluster for this session. And then you're actually getting a zip file, which is a compressed file. And in here, you will have 3 files. One is a PDF, which is explanation of how and what is an AutoCluster and how it works. And I don't blame you if you never read it, because I haven't done it yet. So still on time. You have a CSV, which is kind of an Excel file, numbers, and I'm very bad at numbers, so I just keep going. The third one is actually the charm one. This is the HTML, or in other words, this is the a file that will show the display, the colors, and the graphics of the visual representation of the AutoCluster. Let's open it like over there. And just by double clicking it, your computer should know exactly what to do. So here you are looking at my AutoClusters, and it looks very nice. And you have different ways of seeing those clusters. I will suggest you use just the simple clusters, which is what you are looking at. And of course that I have privatized the app and sidebars. Actually, what you should be seeing here is the name of those people that you match. Remember that I match my mother, so my mother is in one of those lists, but she's also here. So the diagonal of this chart is actually the same person matching itself, okay? And then we have applied some colors depending on the groups that we found. Remember my paternal side and my maternal side. So my mother will not be in both groups, right? It's going to be only in one. So my mother will be probably in the red one, and my father would be actually on the orange one. Now, if this was still not clear enough, let me show you a little bit of the names of my second cluster. And you need, okay, I will go there later. So in the second cluster, you can see the last name of the people, and I left them totally on purpose. So you can identify that I have 3 individuals last name Singer. And yes, Singer is one of my paternal names, and it makes sense that they will all be in the same group because we all share the same DNA. Now, if you are a good genealogist, you will say, well, but one of those is a lady, it's actually married and has let's say a kid, which is this other wolf that I have here. And yes, this is right. This wolf is the descendant of this lady, and therefore shares DNA together with us. What you may not know, because you don't know my family, you're more than welcome to research it, but the Sattingers and the Finkentals are also part of this branch of my family. So it all makes sense why we are all in the same group. Now, I have to be honest with you, I have no idea who this Schumann is or Murphy. And I have been in touch, at least with Murphy, because obviously caught my eye. Schumann is a Jewish name and I'm Jewish, so it could be more normal or more natural to have it. But the Murphy is definitely Irish. What that person is doing over there? Well, we found out that this is actually an adoptee, person that doesn't know their biological parents or father at least. And she was actually related to me by that branch. So we were able to establish through the AutoCluster that definitely she belongs to my grandmother, to my maternal, I'm sorry, to my paternal grandmother, the mother of my father. That's how it goes. Now, on the bottom of the AutoCluster, you will be able to see also the numbers, the amount of segments, the amount of centimorgans, but the most important thing for me is the number of people in the tree, because this is telling me actually how big the other person's tree is. And the bigger the tree, the more chances that you will have to find a match and to be able to find out how you are related to the other person. So you can imagine that 7,700 and change is all people in my tree. And then we have Murphy with 9 and Schumann with 14. And definitely those 9 for Murphy are not that good, because I already said she never met her parents, her biological father at least. So there's one question that you will get to it for sure when you're analyzing your clusters. Because remember I said my mother, well, actually my mother will not be in the AutoClusters. Not my mother, not my parents, not my grandparents, not my sons or kids, not my first cousins either. Well, first cousins maybe, but less chance. Why? Why is that? Well, because we put some thresholds and we're actually limiting the amount of people that you will see here to about 100. And we're limiting the minimum and the maximum of centimorgans that you are sharing. Of course, if you are sharing half of your DNA with your parents, definitely you will know that that cluster is from that father or that branch of the family, but it still will reduce the possibility to have other people in the cluster. So we have taken all those out. Now, how do you know the threshold? It's right here in the clusters, but the numbers for each of the DNA that you can see are actually, when you review your DNA, will let you know the shared DNA and the shared segments and the largest segment, and that is where you will find and you will know who is going to go into this group. In fact, there is one more way, an easier way to know. If you go to the overview of your DNA, basically what we did is we took all your close matches out and all your distance relative matches out. So basically the AutoCluster is built mostly with the extended family. Okay, so again, if you have second cousins, third cousins, and you manage to know and to figure out how you are related to the person, you will be able to find like everybody in that cluster, how is related to you. Now, AutoClusters will help you explore DNA matches more efficiently because we are grouping them according to your common ancestors, or at least that is the goal that we have when we created this tool, and or except if you have a lot of endogamy in your family. And I know that a lot of people are complaining that they have very big clusters. If you're like me, and this is the other case, I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, and there is a lot of notion of a lot of endogamy in the DNA of Ashkenazi, but not the only one. This, for example, is Yemenite Jews. And imagine that you are seeing a cluster of one person with 100% Yemenite match another 100 people. So this is his cluster. It's totally useless, right? But that's how the endogamy affects the DNA. And not only endogamy affects Jewish DNAs, this is the AutoCluster generated for a Hawaiian person. And it's totally logical. Think about it. They are in an island. They have no other place to go to intermarriage with others. So in a couple of generations, you end up marrying your second cousin twice removed, no matter how you want to see it. And these are all real examples. But again, not only people isolated like Hawaii. If you think about English, Scottish, and Welsh, you can see also a very big AutoCluster here, or a very big cluster here. If we go to Mennonites, if we go to Pilgrims, if we go to any group that kept intermarrying among themselves, it's going to end with a big color group like the one you are seeing here. So AutoClusters are based purely, only 100% on DNA. We haven't looked at records here. We haven't looked at family trees. It's just your DNA and other people's DNA. So make sure to review your AutoClusters and then go ahead and review the personal matches that you have with each of the people in your clusters, so you can understand and try to find out the common ancestor that you have with this other person. Now, a couple of announcements, and I'm very excited and I'm very happy that you are here today. And I consider you already my family. So I guess I can share with you a few good things. I already said that we improve the visualization of your DNA matches, but also we just released new theories of family relativity. And I'm going to give you a whole week to review your theories. And next week, I'm going to be talking about this and how to really understand what MyHeritage is trying to tell you right there. So plenty of homework for this weekend. But also, you need to remember, Sunday is Valentine's Day, or at least in the United States. I don't know any other country also that celebrates. I will celebrate with my wife. Why not? Even here in Israel. So MyHeritage has made all the marriage records collections free. You don't need to pay. You don't need to do anything. You will need to register with MyHeritage for free, but then you will have all the millions of marriaging records available for you to research. And this is just until the 16th. So mark that on your calendar and be sure to review them all. And also just fresh out of the oven. Nobody really knows about this yet but you. So here is the scoop. We just released a collection of records called Border Crossing from Canada. If you have family that you cannot find how they came into the United States, this may be the reason, because they didn't come by boat, they came by foot, and they crossed the border between Canada and the United States. So this also 12.5 million records with images. This is a great collection. Let me tell you, I had a couple of days already to play with it, and hopefully we will be talking about it in future as the experts. In the meantime, I gave a webinar the other day with Jeff in Legacy Family Tree Webinars. Wonderful webinar, by the way, not because I gave it, but that's what people said. Oops. So I invite you to go there to see not only the recording of that webinar, but the recording of all the other webinars that we have done and all the webinars that are coming very soon. We have a webinar that will come about the photo tools and the different things that we do there. I'm putting in the chat the URLs just so you can have access to those easier. What else we have here? Well, the next, I'm sorry, the MyHeritage knowledge base under education.myheritage.com is where we are posting also recordings of this Ask the Experts and other Ask the Experts, and also the Facebook Live that we are doing, and a lot of downloadable resources. Actually, the webinar I did this week was about the knowledge base. So if you don't know how to use it, you can see the webinar and then come to the knowledge base without any problem. And you are more than welcome, and I hope to see you all in the next session of Ask the Experts on Thursdays, always 1 p.m. Eastern time, no matter what Google will say. If you're watching this on Facebook, you're more than welcome to register with that link and to be here in the Zoom with us and ask your own questions. And as I said, I'm already preparing next week to talk about the theory of relativity. But enough of me asking questions. I'm going to allow you to unmute because I know that some of you have some questions. Jane, you wrote me a question in the chat. You want to voice your question, please?
Yes, I uploaded a bunch of pictures and I went to town using the colorization and enhancement tools, and they look fabulous. But when I go back to look at them, they look like the original with just a little color ball in the bottom right. How do you make it stay as a color? Like, say I wanted to share that.
I got it, Jane. Very easy. The color ball icon on the lower part tells you that this image has been colorized, and you're looking at the let's call it the catalog of images that you have uploaded. When you go into the picture, you will be able to see both the original black and white and the color one. But in the outside, in the album, you will only see it black and white with the icon telling you that you already colorized that.
Okay, so if you wanted to share it as a color photo with somebody else,
you have over there, you go into the photo, you go in the upper corner and you have an icon to share, and you have an option to share either the black and white or the color.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Excellent. With pleasure. Robert, you also have a question here in the chat, and I also remembered that I got a question by email. I will look for those questions, but Robert, do you want to voice your question? Robert?
Yeah, I had to open up the microphone.
Good. So now we can hear you. Yes. What is your question, please?
I get an email that says there's a new match. And
Good.
if I click the icon in the email, it takes me over to MyHeritage and it opens up the review match screen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do them right away, though. I want to go back and do them later. So maybe I jot the name down or remember the name. Then later, if I go to MyHeritage and I open up the DNA matches and I search by that name, I get several other people's names that are matches, but I don't get that guy's name or person's name.
Okay, so I will suggest you, besides searching for the name, and probably if you're searching for John, you may get a lot of them, but also use the filter that gives you or that sorts your matches by the most recent one. And that match should be on the top. Another option will be just write probably the first name and last name. And if you copy and you search for the first and last name, you will find only that person. Got it?
I'll try.
Okay, good.
Try.
Thank you very much. Megan, you have another question that I loved. You want to say it out loud, please?
Sure. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
I want to say I absolutely love your webinars, every single one of them.
Thank you.
Okay, my question is, my dad passed away before DNA really was a thing. He passed away back in 2005. My mother and I both have been tested, but she tested at another company. And I have her on a separate tree to keep her matches separate because it's confusing to me. My thing is on the AutoClusters, how do I know which side of the family my match is on if I don't have my dad's DNA?
Okay, well, very easy, but let's go step by step.
Okay,
Number one, you can upload your mother's DNA to MyHeritage for free, okay?
Yes.
And you will get matches for her as well. Now,
on my DNA match?
yes,
Okay,
okay, you're gonna get a match with her, which is
Okay,
hopefully
yes.
50%.
Yes.
Okay, so then, and secondly, I will definitely suggest you to have your mother DNA with your DNA attached to a bit nice tree so you can
Okay.
follow the tree and the matches.
Okay.
Then you will be able to go to the matches to analyze the match with your mother. And you're gonna see the list of matches, how I show it at the beginning, okay,
Yes.
with shared matches.
Yes.
Those matches, those people are almost 99% coming from your maternal side.
Okay.
So you can either open different tabs or you can do screenshots as I did, and then you go to your second match. And on your second match, which is not your mother, you have two options. Either your mother is there, and then you know that match is coming from the maternal side, or your mother is not there, and then you know it's coming from your paternal side. And once you have identified a few of those matches, and for this you may need probably pen and pencil or a spreadsheet on the computer, then you go to the AutoCluster and you try to identify those people in the AutoCluster, or you can actually do it the other way around. You go to the AutoCluster, you select a name, you review the match with that person and the common matches that you have with that person. If your mother is in, it's maternal side. If your mother is not there, it's paternal side.
Oh, now see, that sounds simple.
Well, yeah, when you know how to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's why I'm
Daniel.
here with more than pleasure. Thank you very much. Let's see. I don't see, I saw the word question.
Daniel?
Yes, yes,
Hi,
Stephanie.
Stephanie here. I had a question. You showed us before a way to do the time period you know, and I cannot figure out where that slider is. I had it once, but now I can't find it.
Those are under the ethnicity, and every ethnicity will have genetic groups, and the genetic groups will have the time slider on the bottom.
So I have to highlight the group itself?
You need to go in, you need to click the genetic group, and you will find the slider right there on the bottom of the map.
Okay, because I think there's challenges in figuring out, is this connection on the maternal side or paternal side?
You will not be able to, you will not be able to identify that unless you go to your maternal and paternal match and you see what ethnicities you are sharing. Like if your father will be Ashkenazi and your mother will be South American, that will be very easy. In my case, both of my parents are Ashkenazi, so that's doesn't have any sense. Okay, thank you very much, Stephanie. Herbert, you had a question regarding the recordings. The recordings are automatically posted on Facebook. Yes, on Facebook. And then I upload this video also to the to the knowledge base. So you will be able to see them there as well. Okay, any other questions? I know that I need to remember, I don't see her here. Somebody sent me an email today and I had her question. Who was it? Who was it? Oh, of course, Cassandra. Cassandra, you sent me a question. Are you here, Cassandra? Probably. Yes. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. I
You,
manage my
you
kids.
remember your question?
Yes.
Good. And the other person was Megan, which she already asked the question. So go ahead, Cassandra, please.
Okay. Besides my kid, I manage a few other kids, and
Mhm.
I've run the clusters. The people I know are in a little tiny box, but I have lots of other big boxes, but I don't know those people.
Okay, so as I said before, the best way will be to identify those people that you don't know in the big box. And by the way, if you go first on the small boxes, you have more chances than if you go to the big boxes, but it's up to you. Once you identify that person, you go to the DNA matches section and you look for that person and you see the common matches that you have with that person, and that will give you, should give you a lead where the common ancestor is coming. You can view the family tree of the person and you can follow ancestors back. Okay. Okay, Annette has a question and probably I have one more time for one more. Annette? Annette going once? Let's put some pressure on Annette to find the unmuted button.
Hi,
Hello, you found it.
sorry. Is it possible that you could, on your match list, have a second or a third cousin, could be somewhat removed, and that person does not show up in any of the auto clusters?
Yes, and you can verify that by seeing how much DNA, how many centimorgans you have in common with the person. And then you go to the lower part of your AutoCluster and you see the thresholds. If that number is not between the minimum and the maximum, that person will not appear in your AutoCluster.
Okay, and I also have a second question that I just thought of.
Mm-hmm.
What do you consider distant matches that won't show up? Like what level of cousin would it be? Fourth, fifth?
I will not be able to tell you that from the top of my head, but definitely there is a number of centimorgans or a percentages that I think it goes, I normally manage percentages below 2%, more or less, don't quote me on that. It's already an extended or a distant relative.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, excellent, pleasure. Okay, and I just want to acknowledge Sandy's email. I don't know, Sandy, if you have still another question, if you're here and you have a question. If not, I will, Sandy?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yes, Sandy, go ahead.
When you're working with the auto clusters and you have the graph of the clusters themselves, many times people will label them once you've decided which branch of your family it is. How do you do that conveniently?
Okay, so the label, the trick of the label is actually to put a comment on the match with one of those persons. When in the DNA match, you have a balloon. Before you go to review match, in the summary of the match, you can click on that balloon and that will allow you to make a note, and the note appears also in the AutoCluster, so that will be able to label them. Some people I heard they use emojis for that, and it helps for them. I simply go all style with pen and paper, and I see all the names, and I have printed that report, and I work like that. I found it much easier and less complicated.
Well,
Guys,
that's in the notes, right? What I'm
yes.
speaking of is on the cluster image itself. People will label the clusters and then they'll go on down the line and they'll say, you know, this is my great grandfather's cluster or whatever.
Not that I know that it's possible to do on MyHeritage, at least, because
Okay.
the cluster is a report that you get by email and you cannot modify that report.
Okay.
Okay. Good, guys. We just went a little bit over time, but I had fun, so I don't care. Thank you very much for being here. If you saw this on Facebook Live, or if you see this as a recording, you can always go to myheritage.com/help to find the answers to your questions. In the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Use this great time to do a little bit more of genealogy, and you have homework for next week when we're going to be talking about the theories of family relativity. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.